Imagine discovering your entire life story was built on a hidden truth, a secret someone kept for decades. What would that what would that unravel inside you?
It's a powerful thought, isn't it?
It really is. And today, we're exploring exactly that, these intertwined lives, two families, generations apart, dealing with loss, identity, memory. It's all inspired by Amanda Peters' amazing novel, The Berry Pickers.
A really compelling story. It just draws you in.
Absolutely. And before we get started, I wanted to mention something interesting related to digging into books like this, Mindful Moments. Have you seen this?
The YouTube channel. Yeah, I've come across it.
It uses AI to analyze books, and it really does prompt some thoughtful reflection, Encourages that critical thinking about stories and themes, much like what we try to do here.
That's cool. A different lens on literature.
Exactly. So, thinking about the Berry Pickers, okay, let's dive in. You're thrown right into it, aren't you?
Correct.
Right after little Ruthie disappears through her brother Joe's eyes.
Yeah, and what you get from Joe's viewpoint is just raw. That immediate loss, the desperate searching, calling her name.
Just hoping she'll answer.
Right. Hoping against hope. And then you see the contrast, the stark difference in how the local police interact with them.
There's a dismissiveness there.
Definitely.
Good
A
way.
painful disparity, really. And even that detail about Mr. Ellis, the landowner, driving by every day at 10:30, it seems small, but it becomes this relentless clock ticking on their grief.
Yeah.
The world just moves on.
Like a constant reminder.
Exactly. That initial frantic hope it fades pretty quickly into this deep, lasting despair for the whole family.
You feel it so strongly. And then the story jumps, doesn't it? Decades forward, we meet Norma over in Maine.
And a whole different kind of mystery starts to unfold there.
With these dreams she keeps having.
Yeah, these recurring dreams. Fragments, really. Another life, another mother. Even this image of a friend named Ruthie.
So strange. And her mother, Lenore, just waves them away.
Completely. Almost. Almost too quickly, She blames it on visitors from church or too much sugar before bed, these quick deflections.
Which makes you suspicious.
It really does. Because
Yeah.
you sense this underlying tension. The father seems uncomfortable, and Lenore gets really intense if Norma presses about the dreams. It screams, buried secret.
A sequel being fiercely guarded.
Definitely. And these dreams, they're like this constant hum beneath the surface of her life, hinting that something's not right.
But like little breadcrumbs, maybe.
Yep.
Leading somewhere she doesn't understand yet. And then there's Aunt June.
Aunt June. She plays such a pivotal role, doesn't she? Offering these insights, trying to frame Lenore's actions.
Especially that memory at the beach she shares with Norma.
Right, and Aunt June keeps insisting that whatever Lenore did, it came from love, which is complex.
Very complex. It makes you think about motivations.
It does. It doesn't excuse anything, obviously, but it adds this layer to Lenore. Was it a twisted kind of protection? A desperate act rooted in some kind of perceived love? It challenges your perception of her.
It really does. And then you have these other weird echoes, right? Like Norma having an imaginary friend called Ruthie when she was little.
And that bizarre moment years later when a man calls her Ruthie by mistake.
It's like the past is actively trying to push through these little cracks appearing in the present.
Yeah, uncanny moments, exploring these hidden connections, how the past shapes everything. It really resonates with the kind of deep analysis you see on channels like Mindful Moments.
Good point. And it's similar to how we try to unpack these complex stories in our own discussions, looking at those underlying currents.
Absolutely. So, thinking about Joe again, after Ruthie vanishes, what really stands out about his life in the following years?
For me, it's the persistence, the way he keeps going back.
Those annual trips to Maine.
Yeah.
It's like this pilgrimage. It shows this unwavering, well, maybe not hope, but a refusal to accept it's over.
A need for answers, maybe.
Or just connection to that last place. And you see the toll on his mother, too. That deep grief that only seems to lift just slightly when the apple pickers arrive in the fall.
Highlighting how life just keeps moving, even around their tragedy.
Exactly. And that specific memory Joe has, carving in the cabin with Ruthie.
Oh, and stargazing? Under the shared blanket?
Yes. Those become these incredibly poignant symbols, don't they? Of that lost innocence, that bond, that time just couldn't break, even with her gone.
So powerful. Meanwhile, Norma's growing up, completely oblivious to all this history, but she starts finding things. Odd things.
Right. Those unlabeled photos in the basement, that's where the cracks really start to show in her reality.
Photos that don't make sense in her timeline.
Exactly. Like finding one of her parents, and Aunt June dated 1960 before she was supposedly born. That's a huge red flag.
And other photos where she should be there but isn't.
Yeah, these gaps, these visual absences, they become deeply unsettling for her. And then you have Alice, her friend, subtly nudging her.
About her mother's headaches.
Yeah. Encouraging Norma to think for herself, to maybe question the easy explanations she's always been given, planting that seed of doubt.
And that doubt eventually leads her to ask the big question, doesn't it? Directly to Aunt June.
The question about the family name. Her supposedly Italian great-grandfather named Brown.
Which isn't very Italian.
Not at all. And that's the tipping point, isn't it? The moment the carefully built story starts to fall apart.
And Aunt June finally tells her.
Finally confesses the whole devastating truth. Lenore didn't find her, she took her. Took Ruthie from the berry fields back in 1962.
Oh, wow. Hearing that truth, it just changes everything. For Norma and for us listening to the story.
Completely recontextualizes it all.
Yeah.
You suddenly understand the dreams, Lenore's anxiety, the father's discomfort. The weight of that one single act.
It must unleash such a storm of emotions in Norma, understandably, and it sets her off on this path, right? To find the Brooks, her birth family.
Yeah, that journey begins.
Yeah.
And that first phone call?
Yeah.
The one to May, Joe's sister. Can you even imagine?
The anxiety, the hope.
The sheer emotional weight of making that connection after a lifetime apart. It's the first step towards reclaiming this entire lost part of herself.
And then actually meeting them. Her Micmac family.
A hugely powerful moment. That sense of finally belonging, of seeing yourself reflected in others after feeling maybe slightly out of sync your whole life.
But within that joy, there's also Joe's struggle.
Yes. You see Joe grappling with this immense guilt he's carried silently for decades. Guilt over Ruthie, maybe even feeling responsible in some way.
And then his eventual reconciliation with Ruthie, with Norma.
Deeply moving. It really speaks to how strong those family bonds can be, even after everything.
Joe's guilt, though, it really hangs heavy over his whole life, doesn't it? It feels like it impacts everything.
It really does. Even later tragedies, like his friend Charlie's death, seem to compound that initial loss.
And his relationships suffer too, like with Cora.
Yeah, it seems connected, doesn't it? This unresolved grief, this trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It shapes his ability to connect, maybe. Leads to that self-imposed isolation later on.
His whole life trajectory seems marked by it.
Absolutely. That return to Maine in his final years feels like seeking some kind of peace, some kind of closure, right back where it all began. It shows how deep those early wounds can go.
And Norma's path is so different, yet also so shaped by that same event. She's reclaiming an identity, building new bonds.
But also grappling with the truth of her upbringing, right?
Yeah.
Trying to reconcile the love she felt from Lenore and her father with a fundamental deception at the heart of it all.
It's incredibly complex.
And her profession is interesting too, a teacher, someone who deals with words. Yet she reflects on how there's no single word for a parent who loses a child.
Highlighting the limits of language to capture that kind of profound grief.
Exactly. But amidst all that complexity, you get these beautiful, meaningful moments of connection with her birth family.
Especially her bond with Joe towards the end of his life.
Yes. That understanding, maybe even forgiveness that passes between them, feels essential.
And that simple act, placing her own daughter's name, Sarah, in the family Bible.
Oh, that's such a powerful symbol. It's acceptance, integration. It's her, fully reclaiming her place, cementing her identity within her true family lineage. Healing.
So when you look at the whole story, Ruthie and Norma, it really underscores how memory keeps pushing truths to the surface, doesn't it?
It really does. And the strength of family ties, how they can endure and even mend across huge divides caused by loss and lies.
It ultimately feels like a story about resilience, about finding peace and connection, even when it seems impossible after so long.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? About the hidden stories, the unseen currents in our own families, our own communities.
What long-held secrets might have shaped the lives around us in ways we never even considered?
It's a thought-provoking question.
Absolutely. Well, if this exploration of the berry pickers has got you thinking, please subscribe to our show for more discussions like this.
And share it with anyone you think would appreciate stories about family, identity, and that kind of resilience.
You can also grab the book itself. The link is in our show notes to really experience Amanda Peters' incredible storytelling firsthand.
It's well worth the read.
Definitely. And most importantly, keep thinking critically, keep questioning, keep exploring the stories that shape how we see ourselves in the world.